What's up, guys? We're getting ready to start a Whipless run of Castlevania II for the NES. Prologue. Step into the shadows of the Hell House. You've arrived back here at Transylvania on business to destroy forever the curse of the evil Count Dracula. The way how this run works is, well, obviously you're never allowed to use the whip. The game starts you out with 50 hearts. Hearts count as your money in this game. Using those 50 hearts that the game starts you out with, buy holy water. And never ever use the whip from then on. If you swing the whip on accident, it's okay so long as you don't hit any enemies or anything. So long as you just don't hit anything whatsoever, it's okay if you swing the whip. Just don't attack any enemies or kill any enemies using the whip. And as you can see, we already have the holy water. Before we move on any further, I'm going to do a little bit of heart grinding though. Farm up a little bit to get the white crystal, but I'll fast forward past that. See you in a moment. Alright, I just got done healing up at the church. We now have enough money to pay for the white crystal. The white crystal is the weakest of all the crystals here in Castlevania II. Its main function is to show you invisible floors, which really is only all that helpful in the first mansion, but that's about it. Later on you can upgrade your white crystal to a blue crystal, and then finally to the red crystal, which all give you new abilities, but we'll get to that whenever we get to that. I also farmed up a little bit of extra cash to pay for a dagger before we go to the first mansion. The dagger will be pretty much our best whip replacement throughout the entire game. It's got decent power, pretty good power for right now. It's as strong as the Thorn Whip, which is the first upgrade that you can get to the whip. So that's pretty good. It doesn't have the best range, but it has decent range at least. It also doesn't use up any hearts whenever you use it. Some weapons here in Castlevania 2 do still use hearts to throw around, like the silver and golden knives and the diamond later on in the game. Stuff like that will still use up hearts, the sacred flame. So yeah, you still got a variety of weapons that still consume your hearts, but the dagger is not one of them, also making it a really good whip replacement. Right now we are headed to the town where we can buy the dagger, which is just right down here. We're right next to it. The next screen transition that we go through will be right at the shop. One of people's big complaints for Castlevania 2 is the night to day segments, the amount of time that it takes to go between night and day. That has honestly never really bothered me, to be completely honest. This was the very first Castlevania that I ever played. I mean, I wouldn't have beaten this game without a guide. Well, kind of a guide anyway. I think that I, for the most part, didn't use any guides or anything. There was a Worlds of Power book for Castlevania 2. And my dad has worked at the local library since I've been really young, since I was like in kindergarten. And I was at the library with him one day, and I seen the Worlds of Power book, and I checked it out and read through it, and it also had hints to tell you where to go in the game and stuff like that. And I think that that's where I found out where to go for most of the game. I eventually found another copy of it to buy, and I bought that along with the Metal Gear Worlds of Power book. I had the Ninja Gaiden one, but I gave it to a friend. I never actually read through any of the Worlds of Power Nintendo books except for the Castlevania 2 one. Here we are at the first mansion. This platform that you see me riding on would only be visible if you have the white crystal equipped in. We just leveled up, pretty nice. That's another thing that hearts do in this game. As you collect hearts, they give you experience points and you can level up, so that's pretty neat. Even if you didn't have the white crystal equipped and you couldn't see the platform that I was riding on at the very beginning of the mansion, you could still jump on it even though you can't see it. But you still have to have the crystal in order to beat the game, because you need it later for other things that lead to the future mansions and stuff like that, so be absolutely sure to pick up the crystal. I really like the music in this game. It's got one of my favorite soundtracks in the entire series. Bloody Tears is easily my favorite Castlevania theme in the entire Castlevania series. It's a really good one and has always been my favorite. In every mansion you're going to have to buy an oak stake for 50 hearts, so be sure that you're prepared for that. In some mansions I'd recommend that you buy 2 oak stakes. You can only carry one at a time, but I'd recommend buying another oak stake after you've used the one that you have to get the part of Dracula. For those of you who don't know, the whole story of this game involves you going to each of these 5 mansions to get a part of Dracula's body. well, I guess 4 parts and an accessory. A ring isn't exactly a body part. As a matter of fact, I don't think that the ring actually does anything for you. I would have guessed maybe extra defense or something, but I don't even think that it does that. I think that's just required in order to beat the game. And here we have an oak stake. There we go. After I get the part of Dracula, I think I'm going to go heart grinding to get all the way up to max hearts, and I'm also going to get another oak stake. That way we'll be prepared in the future. The piece of Dracula that we get in this dungeon is Dracula's rib, which is just right over here to our right. If you equip Dracula's rib, it'll let Simon carry around a shield that will block like fireballs and stuff like that. Here we are. Every time you see one of these crystals, chuck an oak stake at it and collect your part. You now process Dracula's rib. Time for heart grinding. Alright, we got max hearts as well as another oak stake for the next mansion. All that we have left to do now is leave the mansion. Another complaint that people have here in Castlevania II is how cryptic it is. And I can fully understand that. This game makes absolutely no sense whenever it comes to townspeople trying to give you hints, and even the clues that you find here and there, they don't even make much sense either. So really this game is very cryptic and hard to understand. That's why I was talking about earlier about using a guide. I think that I only really got help out of a few hints in the World of Power Nintendo books. The rest of it, I'm pretty sure I had to use a guide online in order to finish this game. Still, though, I do like this game. I like its adventure aspects and how you can just kind of travel around and everything. But still, it is pretty cryptic, and I will admit to that. Back whenever we got Dracula's rib, it said, "You now process Dracula's rib." Obviously, that's a typo. It's supposed to say, "You now possess Dracula's rib." However, I can't help but feel like that's just an intentional typo that they just decided to leave around because they thought it sounded funny or something. The reason why I think this is because whenever you find like certain weapons and stuff in the overworld, it'll actually say possess, it won't say process. So that's why it just makes me think that the whole typo whenever you get Dracula's parts is actually kind of intentional. Probably isn't, but that's just kind of what I think about it. Whatever though. Right now we're headed to the town that's on the far east over here. In that town we can upgrade our white crystal to a blue crystal. The blue crystal has all the powers of the white crystal, but it can also like let you like drain lakes or breathe underwater or something. Whatever the case, it's required in order to get to the next mansion as well as pass through an area later on in the game. There's also some more equipment that we can buy in the next town. We can get laurels and garlic. Garlic is a really powerful but limited use weapon. You get 2 pieces of garlic for every 50 hearts you spend on it. And you use garlic whenever you use it, it gets put on the ground, and any enemies that touch it will just continually take damage over and over and over again while being held in place, so they're forced to die a slow and painful death. You can carry up to a max of 8 garlic at a time. Laurels are also really useful, and again, a limited weapon. Whenever you use a laurel, it makes Simon invincible. He can't be hurt by anything. Your max carrying capacity for those at first is 4, but you can get a silk bag later that will upgrade that to let you carry 8 of them. You get 2 laurels for every 50 hearts that you spend on them. Also, just one screen to the right of the town here, if you go into the cemetery and drop a piece of garlic, a weird lady will appear that will give you the silver knife. I never use the silver knife myself. It uses hearts to throw. It has more range than the dagger, but still. I'm not even going to waste my time getting it because I'm just fine using the dagger itself. But I am going to try to pick up some garlic and laurels as well as upgrade our crystal, obviously, because we need to do that in order to get to the next mansion. Whatever the case, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward past this nighttime stuff. Alright, daytime again. Time to upgrade our white crystal to a blue crystal, and the guy ain't there to do it. There he goes. I'd like to exchange a white crystal for a blue crystal. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to give up your more powerful crystal for a weaker one? Whatever, I guess. Fine with me. We also have a little bit of stuff to buy before we leave town here. I'd like to buy some laurels and garlic. We'll need garlic for a boss later on. There aren't many bosses in this game, which is another complaint that some people have about Castlevania II. The very, very, very few bosses that there are, you don't even have to fight, except for Dracula himself. Other than that, you can just completely skip over all the other bosses. Well, I take that back. You do have to fight Carmilla's mask, because you have to get the cross in order to enter Transylvania where Dracula is at, or his fortress or whatever. But Death you don't have to fight though, unless you want to get the gold knife. We will be fighting Death because we have to have the golden knife in order to beat this game. So you will see me fight all of the bosses, but yeah. Too bad there aren't more bosses though. All we have left to do in this town is buy a little bit of garlic. We can do that here. This is another weird thing about Castlevania 2. Why are some of the shop owners in their basement that's sealed up? I mean, normally if you don't just expect to destroy the floor, you just come in, see an empty place, and leave. Whatever, I guess. I guess they just wanted to hide some of these items because they thought that they would be overpowered or something. But, whatever. Now that we've gotten us some garlic and everything, it is now time to head out of this town, and our next destination is the next mansion. Which we'll have to backtrack a little ways over here to the left, but that's not a big deal. We just have to backtrack until we get to some stairs, and then we take stairs down and go through an underground passage. Then we use the blue crystal to like drain a lake or something like that. And as soon as we do that, we'll be at the next mansion. So yeah, we don't have very much further left to go. One of my favorite cryptic clues in this game is, I don't remember what exactly it says. It says something along the lines of hitting a cliff with your head to make a hole. And somehow you're supposed to get duck while holding the red crystal for a few seconds to summon a tornado out of that. And just like, whenever I read that clue, I'm just like, hit a cliff with my head to make a hole. What? Well, whatever though. Like I said, this game is pretty cryptic, but I really do like this game. It's a really good game in my opinion, as soon as you've learned the game well enough to know where you have to go. The game has multiple endings depending on how quickly you beat it, but I've never actually put forth an effort to get the good ending or anything. Whatever the case, we are now at the second mansion, and that is it for part 1.